What's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, hello, my name is Tiana and I make videos about travel. As some of you may know, I am living in France for the past year as an expat and I like to travel in my free time. Unfortunately, 2020 has not been a great year for travel. And although I was able to get in a few trips this year, sadly, myself, like many others right now, are currently stuck at home on lockdown and are unable to travel for the foreseeable future. But I thought this would be the perfect time to share with you guys my top favorite travel apps that will save your life on your next trip. So without further ado, let's just jump right into the video. Number 1, Rome to Rio. Rome to Rio. Rome to Rio is a great app for planning how you're going to get to your destination. So what you do is type in where you're coming from and where you're going, and it'll lay out all the possible transportation options for you. So it'll give you train, how long it would take by train, what the cost would be. It'll tell you how long it'll take by bus, by car, by flight, everything. So that's really great when you're planning how you're going to get somewhere, because it just lays down all your options for you in one place. Number 2 favorite app is Citymapper. Citymapper was my lifeline the past year living in Paris. It's the only transportation app that I used my entire time there because it's just so great. All you have to do is type in where you're going and where you're coming from, and it'll give you all the routes that you can take to get there. So it'll give you each metro line that you need to take. It'll tell you how long it'll take you to get there by cycling, by walking, even by lime scootering. It'll tell you everything. It's so convenient. Another thing that I love about Citymapper is that you can customize the departure or arrival times of the location you're going to. So this was really great for me. Anytime I was going to the airport, instead of having to calculate like I need to get up at this time and leave at this time and it'll take me this long, all I had to do was type in the time that I needed to be at the airport, and Citymapper would tell me what time I needed to leave the house in order to be able to get to my location at the time that I needed to. Also, you can download offline routes using Citymapper, so you can even use it when you don't have Wi-Fi, which is great, especially when you're traveling in a country and you don't have data. Number 3, Google Translate. Google Translate is a must anytime you're traveling in a foreign country and you don't speak the language. It is so helpful. It saved my life so many times. It's super easy to use. Obviously, you just type in the sentence you want to say, you choose the language, and it'll translate it for you. There's also the speaking option where you can say the sentence you want to say in English or whatever your language is, and it'll translate it into your target language. But what I love about Google Translate is the camera option. This is super helpful whenever you're outside and you're at a restaurant and there's a menu in a language you don't understand and you don't necessarily want to type every single word into the app. All you have to do is put it on camera mode, hold it up to the thing you're trying to translate, and it translates it in real time just by looking at the picture. So that's super helpful for restaurant menus, for road signs, if you need to fill out forms. Like sometimes when you go through customs at the airport, you have to fill out forms, and if you don't speak the language, then, you know, obviously that makes it a little difficult. You can also download offline languages, so you can use it even when you don't have Wi-Fi. My next favorite app is Revolut. Revolut is another app that has saved my life the past year since living in France. Revolut is an online bank that is perfect for traveling because you can easily send money to people or receive money from people. You can actually convert currencies inside the app, which is super great because you don't have to worry about calculating,
oh, this is USD, but how much is this in euro? Oh, but what if I need it in Canadian dollars?
You don't have to worry about any of that. You can convert it right inside the app, super easy. You can easily top up the money in your Revolut account using Apple Pay, which is super cool because it's instant. If I need money in my Revolut account and I need it to be in euro, I can use my US account through Apple Pay and just top it right up, convert it to euro in the app, and then buy whatever I need. And there is no international transaction fee, which is huge benefit of Revolut, because we all know how annoying it can be to get constantly charged transaction fees while traveling international. All you have to do is download the Revolut app, make an account, then you have to send a picture of your ID or a passport just so they can verify that it's you, and then you request the free card to be sent to you, and they send you your bank account card, and you use it just like you would a normal bank account. It's so, so easy. Another great travel app is TripIt. TripIt is a virtual travel organizer. So what it does is it organizes all your trip for you, basically. It'll scan your email and look for confirmations for flights, for train tickets, for any activities that you have planned, and it'll plan your entire itinerary for you and time everything out for you. And it will even give you real-time flight updates as well. It scans your email for all the booking confirmation, so you really don't have to do any work. And in the event that they do happen to miss something, all you have to do is forward that booking confirmation to the TripIt staff email, and they will add it right into your app. So it's super, super easy and super convenient. A great way to organize your trip. Next app on the travel list is Packr. Packr is an organized packing checklist. All you have to do is put in where you're going, the dates that you're going, and it organizes a checklist for you. It takes into account where you're going and what the weather will be like. It reminds you of things that you might need on a flight, so it'll remind you, bring your boarding pass, bring your passport, bring headphones, bring a neck pillow. And if you're doing some activities on your trip, like going boating or going hiking or going parasailing, whatever, it'll tell you specific things that you need to remember to bring based off of the activities that you plan to do. Another app, which is one of my favorites, it's one I use all the time, is Skyscanner. Skyscanner is my absolute favorite app. It's the only app that I use when I'm booking flights, to be honest. It's just like any other website you would use to look up a flight. So you put in where you're coming from, where you're going, the dates that you're going, and it scans all airlines and gives you the best price for each airline. They also have a super, super cool anywhere feature, which is if you don't really have plans to travel anywhere and you're kind of open to where you want to go, all you have to do is put in the dates that you want to travel and where you're coming from, select everywhere, and it'll give you a list of places you can go, and it orders them from cheapest to most expensive. I really love that feature because it opens you up to going to places that you maybe weren't even planning on going to. Also, Skyscanner gives you tips, so if you have certain dates for your trip and the flight's a little expensive, it'll sometimes say like, hey, if you travel 2 days sooner, it'll drop by $50 in price. So I think that's super awesome as well because it's really, really helping you to get the best price. Another super cool feature that is relevant right now, Skyscanner has a feature that'll tell you what countries are open. So I know travel is a bit of a touchy subject right now. Not a lot of countries can travel. Some are open and accepting tourists, some are not. And it gets really confusing trying to figure out what countries are open and to which nationalities. So Skyscanner is really cool because they have the feature that tells you what countries are open for travel. So all you have to do is put where you're coming from, and it gives you every single country that's open. It'll say open, fully, partially open, meaning from certain nationalities. It tells you what nationalities they're accepting, if they have a quarantine or not, and then of course red countries that are closed, not accepting tourists at all. So this has been amazing because it makes it really easy to plan a trip, especially in these times when we're really unsure what's open and what's not. Another essential app to have when you're traveling is Google Maps, of course. I think this is probably the app that most people use when they travel to get around. It's super, super easy to use. You can download maps for offline use as well, so when you don't have Wi-Fi, you can still find your way around, which is great because I can't tell you the amount of times I've been lost in a city and my phone wasn't working, and I was super, super thankful that I had downloaded the maps offline to use because that was how I ended up finding my way around. Another great app for traveling, of course, is Airbnb. Airbnb is super popular. Everybody pretty much knows about it. It's a great way to find accommodation. But I think it is very underrated for the experiences section. This is what I mainly use Airbnb for, is the experiences, and I think it's super cool. It's a cool way to find things to do in the city that you're going to. So you can plan activities, do experiences, even find photographers. This is the main thing that I use it for. I think it's great for finding local photographers in the city that you're traveling to, because it's always nice to have high quality photos when you're traveling, of course, but you can't always travel with a photographer or a really nice camera. So it's great to use Airbnb experiences to find photographers and get those Insta-worthy photos of your trip. Another cool app that I would recommend is Polar Steps. Polar Steps automatically tracks your travel and maps it for you in a super cool interactive feature. What it does is it takes the location from the photos that you've taken all over the world and it maps it on an interactive map on their app interface. It's a cool way to document all your trips. You can even invite friends and family to follow you on your trip, which is really cool because then they can see all the pictures that you post and it shows you on the map where you were when you posted each picture. And you can also go back in and add little notes to each one of your memories. Another really cool feature that they have that I love is they tell you how many countries you've seen and what percent of the world that you've seen. So I think that is super cool. It's always super interesting to know how much of the world we've seen and how much is still left that we haven't seen yet. Number 11 on the list is Hostelworld. Hostelworld is also one of my staple apps that I use when traveling. So if you're balling on a budget like I am, you don't necessarily love paying tons and tons of money for accommodation. So Hostelworld is great because it finds you cheap accommodation that is still super great quality and it's a super useful tool to have with you. Hostelworld is great when traveling solo. I normally stay in hostels when I travel solo because it's just such a great way to meet people and be able to interact with people from all around the world and never feel like you're alone even when you're traveling solo. I love Hostelworld because it's super easy to find accommodation there, especially last minute, which is a huge thing. Sometimes something comes up at the place you were planning to stay, or if you're in an emergency situation and the accommodation you had is not very good, it's super easy to find a last minute accommodation on Hostelworld. You don't have to pay until you get there. So normally when you book, you'll pay a super tiny fee. I think maybe like $3 or $4 depending on how long you're staying, and then you pay the rest in full when you arrive. So that's great. If you need to cancel, you don't have to worry about losing money. Also, another feature that I love about Hostelworld is it also tracks what countries you've been to and collects flags for you. So I think that's really cool to see the flags of all the countries that you've stayed in hostels in. Next is Couchsurfing. Couchsurfing is a great app for anyone who's traveling on a super small budget because it's quite literally an app for crashing on someone's couch or in their spare bedroom. If you don't have accommodation and you don't want to pay for accommodation, you can scan through the hosts that are in the city that you're in that have a couch available or an extra room available, and you can request to stay with them and then they'll accept or decline. So that is a super great way to travel for free essentially because you save money on accommodation by staying at someone's house on their couch. But for those of you who have accommodation or may not be comfortable sharing a couch with a stranger, they have a Hangout Now feature. So Hangout Now basically is a feature that locals that are in the area that may not necessarily have a couch to offer, but they are available to hang out and maybe show you around. They can click that they're available to hang out now, and then anyone around the city can offer to hang out with them. So if they want to grab drinks or, you know, show someone around the city, that's always an option. So that's super cool for people who may not have a couch to offer or may not want to stay on someone's couch but are still available to kind of hang out with people around the city. The next app on my list is BlaBlaCar. It's a carpooling app. So essentially what you do is search for a trip. So if I'm in Paris and I want to drive to London tomorrow or for the weekend, I will put that in my app and I will get a list of drivers who are going that direction, going that route, and I can request a seat in their car. Basically, it's basically carpooling. You request a seat in the car. They tell you the rules of their car. So no smoking, or yes, you can smoke. Yes, you can have pets. No, you can have pets. Things like that. And they give you a price. It's usually so cheap. I've seen prices on there from as low as like $15 for a 6-hour car ride. So it's really affordable. This is a super cool option because it's cheap and it's a great way to meet locals in the area, people that you normally wouldn't meet. With BlaBlaCar, it's really cool because it's basically like a road trip. So you get to meet new people, you get to see parts of the city that you would never see because you're in a car and not on a plane. So yes, BlaBlaCar is a super, super cool option and very affordable. Another great app is Wi-Fi Maps. So if you're like me, you like to stay connected while you're traveling, posting pictures, sending videos, keeping up with your friends and family. So Wi-Fi Maps is super convenient because it tells you all of the places around the city that have Wi-Fi. So if you ever run out of data or your phone isn't working because you're international, or you need to use your computer or something like that, Wi-Fi Maps is great for that. Number 16 is for all my vegan and veggie friends out there. It's Happy Cow. Happy Cow is a super cool app that allows you to find vegan and vegetarian restaurants in the city that you're going to. So this is super convenient because I know how difficult it can be to find restaurants when you have a dietary restriction, especially traveling abroad. It's definitely not easy to find restaurants that cater to the foods that you can eat. So Happy Cow is a really good option if you're vegetarian or vegan, or even if you have certain gluten allergies, there's restaurant options for that as well. Definitely a really good option. Number 17 is WhatsApp. WhatsApp is super, super common. I used to never use it before I moved to Europe, and now that I live in France, it's basically what people use as their main form of communication. So instead of using the iMessage app that most people would use if you have an iPhone or if you have an Android, whatever, the regular messaging app that comes in your phone, nobody here uses that. Everyone uses WhatsApp. And at first I didn't really love it. It was kind of weird. I was thinking, why would I have an extra app to text people when I have a perfectly working phone that I can text people in the iMessage app? But ever since I've been using it, I love it so much. It makes it super easy to communicate with people. You can do group messages, so I know that sometimes can be difficult when you're using the regular phone messaging app. If not everyone has an iPhone, then sometimes the group messages can be a little bit weird. But with WhatsApp, it all makes it super simple to send group messages. You can individually reply to messages, which I really like because Apple just started doing this really, really recently, but before you couldn't do that. So I always loved using WhatsApp because I could reply to individual messages, which is great, especially when you're in a group text and things kind of get lost if you're not keeping up with them fast enough, so you can individually reply when you see the messages that you missed. Another thing that I love about WhatsApp is that it notifies people when you change your number. This is really important for me because I've changed my number quite a few times since I've been here, and sometimes when you go to different countries, you get a new SIM card and you'll have a temporary number for while you're in that country. So I really like WhatsApp because it notifies everyone you've had conversations with every time you change your number. So it makes it super simple. You don't have to go through each of your family and friends and message them, hey, this is my number, I changed my number, save this one instead. It notifies everyone for you, so I think that's really awesome. Number 18 is Trail Wallet. Trail Wallet is a really nice app that allows you to budget and track your travel expenses. So you can track each expense by category, you can put down how much money you want to spend in each category, and then it'll notify you when you go close to overspending or if you overspend in each category, and then you can use that to kind of manage your other expenses and find ways to stay inside your budget or expand your budget if you have to. And last but certainly not least is XE Converter. XE Converter is a currency converter, which is definitely very important to have when you're traveling internationally because we don't always know what the going rate is for the currency that we're going to versus our home currency, and it can get super confusing, and even doing a Google search for the currency exchange is not necessarily always accurate. So having a currency converter app like XE Converter is super, super convenient because you can get the correct currency amount for whatever you're trying to buy. This is nice for when you're in a market or in a store somewhere and you're wondering if the price is really the price or if you're getting scammed or trying to confuse you so that you pay more money than you're supposed to. It's really, really good to have an app so you can just look it up and know that you're paying the correct amount. So guys, that is it for my favorite travel apps. Now you are all set to have a great vacation, be super organized, have a great trip, take great photos, all of that. If there's any other travel apps or any travel tips and tricks that you have that I did not mention in this video, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. I hope you all are staying safe and I hope you all can travel again soon, myself included. Please like this video. Feel free to subscribe if you like my content and you want to see more travel hacks and tips and tricks. That's it for now. See you in the next one.